Offensively, Young's knee could also hinder her explosiveness when attacking the rim or cutting off the ball. Those little bursts of energy are what keep defenses honest against the Aces' stars. If she's slowed down, the Aces' spacing shrinks, their rhythm tightens, and their offense becomes easier to predict. So yes, while it may be listed as a contusion, this injury has the potential to reshape the chessboard. The Aces need Jackie Young at full strength to contain Indiana's offensive firepower. If she's not herself, Las Vegas could suddenly find themselves in reactive mode instead of dictating the pace of the game. When you think of the Las Vegas Aces, one name towers above the rest: A'ja Wilson. She's the MVP candidate, the face of the franchise, and the player every defense loses sleep over. But here's the twist that should have Aces fans nervous. Wilson's biggest opponent in this series may not be the Indiana Fever. It may be exhaustion. Wilson has carried an extraordinary load all season long. Offensively, she's asked to score, to facilitate, to be the bailout option when possessions stall. Defensively, she's tasked with guarding the paint, contesting shots and covering up mistakes when teammates are beaten off the dribble. She does it willingly, she does it brilliantly, but there's a limit to how much one body can endure. Whispers around the team suggest fatigue is creeping in, and fatigue is a silent killer. It doesn't appear on the injury report, but it reveals itself in the fourth quarter when legs are heavy, when shots fall short, when rotations are a half-second late. The matchup only magnifies the issue. Indiana's young core, Clark, Boston, Nalissa Smith, will try to run at every opportunity. They'll push the tempo, force Wilson to sprint baseline to baseline, and wear her down. Every minute she spends gasping for air is a win for Indiana. And the cruel irony? The Aces can't afford to rest her. Wilson is their heartbeat. If she sits too long, their entire identity crumbles. So here lies the paradox. A'ja Wilson is the most dominant player on the floor, but she may also be the most vulnerable. If fatigue takes her legs, it could take Las Vegas's crown along with it. Dynasty teams are built on endurance as much as talent, and Wilson's stamina might decide whether the Aces advance or collapse under the weight of expectations. Injuries don't just change who plays, they change how teams play. That's the hidden layer in this semi-final matchup. On one side, the Indiana Fever enter Game 1 with a limping Caitlin Clark, a sore-shouldered Aliyah Boston, and a bench that looks paper-thin. On the other, the Las Vegas Aces walk in with a hobbling Chelsea Gray, a bruised Jackie Young, and an MVP candidate in A'ja Wilson, who's visibly running on fumes. This isn't just a battle of strengths, it's a chess match of vulnerabilities. For the Aces, the strategy will be clear: swarm Clark and test that ankle early. Force her into tight traps, make her shift laterally, and see how much pain she can endure. Then pound the ball inside to test Boston's shoulder. If she can't box out with authority, second chance points will pile up. Meanwhile, the Fever's playbook will aim to flip the script, push the tempo, run Wilson ragged, and attack Jackie Young on switches to expose her knee limitations. Pressure Gray to move, to pivot, to play through the foot injury, and hope her discomfort translates into turnovers. Here's the beauty and brutality of playoff basketball. Every coach knows these weaknesses. They'll target them mercilessly, because that's the nature of survival, and the ripple effect is enormous. If Clark struggles, Indiana's entire offense stalls. If Gray falters, Las Vegas's offense becomes predictable. If Wilson tires, the Aces lose their anchor. What fans will see tonight isn't just talent on display. It's two teams probing each other's wounds, looking for the crack that will make the dam burst. The semi-finals are about adjustments, and this series may be less about who's better and more about who hides their pain best. In a sense, the game plan isn't just about X's and O's anymore. It's about anatomy charts and endurance. Injuries don't just show up on the box score, they creep into the mind. And in this semi-final series, psychology may be just as critical as physical health. Every player stepping onto that court tonight knows who's hurting. They see the ice packs, they hear the whispers, and they notice when a teammate winces after a collision. That awareness changes how teams play, but more importantly, it changes how they think. For Indiana, the psychological weight falls heavily on Caitlin Clark. She's the rookie leader being asked to carry a franchise while hobbling on an ankle that could give out at any moment. The Aces will smell blood and swarm her, not just to test her body but to test her confidence. If Clark begins second-guessing her drives or hesitating on her release, the Fever's offense could unravel. Similarly, Aliyah Boston's shoulder isn't just a medical issue, it's a mental one. Every rebound she fights for will come with a question: can I trust my body? That hesitation gives Las Vegas an invisible edge, but the Aces aren't immune either. Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, and even A'ja Wilson know their bodies aren't perfect right now. When Gray feels a twinge in her foot or Young senses her knee tightening up, that self-doubt creeps in. fatigue and pain blur decision-making. Suddenly, a split second of hesitation leads to a turnover or a missed rotation. And here's the kicker. Once psychology sets in, it spreads. Teams either rally together in the face of adversity or crumble under the pressure of fragility. We've seen it in countless playoff series before, a single injury snowballing into a mental collapse. This semi-final could turn into less of a basketball contest and more of a battle of belief. Which locker room convinces itself they're still unstoppable despite the bruises? That mental edge might matter more than any stat line tonight. Let's be brutally honest. Game 1 of the 2025 WNBA Semi-Finals between the Las Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever may not be remembered for highlight reel plays or flawless execution. No, this one will be remembered for survival. Two powerhouse teams are entering the battle limping, taped up, and emotionally drained before the ball is even tipped. And that reality sets the stage for one of the most unpredictable playoff openers in years. The Aces on paper still have the upper hand. They're defending champions. They've been here before, and even a fatigued Aja Wilson is a nightmare matchup for anyone. Chelsea Gray's leadership, Jackie Young's toughness, and Kelsey Plum's scoring punch give them a foundation built on championship pedigree. If they can mask their injuries just long enough, they can out-execute Indiana in crunch time. But Indiana, hungry and youthful, carries something Las Vegas doesn't. Deal momentum born from defying the odds. Caitlin Clark may be taped up, but she's also fearless, the type of competitor who thrives when the lights burn brightest. Aliyah Boston, even with a sore shoulder, will battle in the trenches because that's who she is. And if the Fever can push the pace, unleash Nalissa Smith, and get contributions from their role players, they can tilt this series in their favor. Here's the verdict. Game 1 will not be pretty. Expect turnovers, missed shots, and awkward possessions as both teams navigate through physical limitations. But it will be gritty, it will be emotional, and it will reveal which team can turn pain into power. For the Fever, stealing Game 1 on the road would flip this series upside down. For the Aces, defending home court despite adversity would reassert their dynasty-level dominance. One thing is certain, this semifinal isn't just basketball anymore. It's a test of endurance, strategy, and willpower. And when the final buzzer sounds, the story won't be who scored the most points, but who endured the most pain and still found a way to win. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be brutally honest. This semifinal matchup between the Las Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever may not be decided by skill, coaching, or even star power. It may come down to something far uglier. Who can survive the injury report? In fact, critics are already calling this the most injury-plagued playoff showdown in recent WNBA history. Fans expected fireworks. What they might get instead is a war of attrition. Tonight, we break down the real story behind Game 1, the injuries that could shape the destiny of two franchises. Before diving into the specifics of sprained ankles and bruised knees, let's establish the backdrop. The Indiana Fever have been the Cinderella story of the season. With rookie phenom Caitlin Clark and second-year star Aliyah Boston, they've electrified crowds, sold out arenas, and silenced critics who thought they weren't ready for prime time. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the Las Vegas Aces, a dynasty in the making. They're seasoned champions. A team built on chemistry, discipline, and the expectation of greatness. But here's the problem. Neither of these squads is stepping into Game 1 at full strength. This isn't just basketball, it's survival. And that matters. Because in playoff basketball, even the smallest injury can snowball into a season-ending disaster. Think about it. A tweaked ankle can turn into a turnover machine. A sore shoulder can collapse a rebounding battle. And fatigue can strip away an MVP's dominance. The very thing fans came to see, the best of the best, may be compromised before the ball even tips off. This is not the finals preview we were promised. This is a reality check. Now let's address the elephant in the room, Caitlin Clark, the rookie who has captivated not just Indiana, but the entire basketball world, is stepping into the biggest game of her life, on one good ankle. During the Fever's grueling series against New York, Clark tweaked her ankle late in the matchup, and though she played through it, insiders confirm she has not been moving at full speed in practice. That's a nightmare scenario for Indiana, because Clark isn't just another player on the roster, she's the engine of their offense, the playmaker who stretches defenses with her vision and deep shooting. If she loses even a fraction of her quickness, it throws everything off balance. The Aces are predators on defense. They thrive on trapping, forcing turnovers, and turning mistakes into fast break points. A less mobile Clark gives them a glaring target to exploit. But here's the twist. Clark has already proven she's willing to push her body to the limit. The question is whether her pain tolerance can match her competitive fire. Fans want magic, highlight threes, and fearless drives to the basket. Instead, they may be forced to watch her hobble, grit her teeth, and fight for every step on the hardwood. If the Fever's hopes ride on Clark, then those hopes are wobbling on one injured ankle tonight. Caitlin Clark may be the face of the franchise, but make no mistake, Aliyah Boston is its backbone. The young forward has been a force since entering the league, carving out her identity as one of the toughest rebounders and most reliable defensive presences in the WNBA. But now, heading into Game 1 of the semi-finals, Boston's left shoulder has become a major talking point, and not for the right reasons. Reports suggest Boston has been dealing with lingering soreness that has limited her aggressiveness on the board. And here's where the problem compounds. Indiana's success isn't built on flashy fast breaks alone. It's built on controlling possession, battling on the glass, and using Boston's presence to protect the paint. When she's not 100%, the Fever don't just lose rebounds, they lose their safety net. Against the Las Vegas Aces, this weakness could be devastating. A'ja Wilson, arguably the best two-way player in the game right now, will feast if Boston can't physically match her in the post. And don't forget Tia Stokes, who thrives on cleaning up missed shots and extending possession. Every extra chance Boston fails to erase will tilt momentum in the Aces' favor. The stakes are brutal. Boston isn't just fighting an opponent, she's fighting her own body. If she can't lift, push, and fight the way she's accustomed to, Indiana may be asking too much of their young star. A compromised Boston doesn't just weaken the Fever, it gives Las Vegas the exact edge they need to pounce. For the Indiana Fever, the bench was already one of the most fragile parts of their roster, but now with rookie Lexi Hull listed as day-to-day with a wrist injury, that weakness is being exposed at the worst possible time. Think about what this means. In the playoffs, rotations tighten, and coaches shorten the leash. Every substitution carries weight. If Hull is unavailable or limited, Indiana's second unit is not just thin, it's vulnerable. That means extended minutes for the starters, which might sound heroic in theory, but is a recipe for disaster when those same starters are already dealing with injuries of their own. Clark's ankle can't withstand 38 minutes of constant pressure. Boston's shoulder can't endure endless collisions in the paint, without relief. On the other hand, the Aces have depth and experience. They know how to exploit tired legs, how to run opponents ragged in transition, and how to punish lapses and defensive rotation. If Indiana's bench can't contribute meaningful minutes, the Aces will smell blood in the water. And let's not sugarcoat this: fatigue is an injury waiting to happen. The more the Fever rely on their wounded stars, the more they risk a complete breakdown by the time the fourth quarter rolls around. This is the cruel irony of playoff basketball. You need your stars, but you cannot survive without your role players. Indiana's bench crisis may be the silent killer in this series, a problem lurking in the shadows while all eyes remain fixed on Clark and Boston. While the headlines focus on Indiana's struggles, the defending champion Las Vegas Aces aren't exactly rolling into this series unscathed. At the center of their concerns is Chelsea Gray, the steady hand, the veteran voice, the floor general who has orchestrated this team's offense through championship runs. But Gray is not fully healthy. That lingering foot injury she's been nursing all season remains a factor, and no matter how much the team downplays it, the truth is unavoidable. She's not at her best. Why does this matter so much? Because Gray is more than just a point guard. She's the glue that binds Las Vegas's offense together. When she controls the pace, everyone else finds their rhythm. Kelsey Plum with her scoring bursts, Jackie Young slashing to the rim, and A'ja Wilson dominating inside. Without Gray fully functional, that rhythm becomes shaky. Her diminished mobility could mean slower defensive rotations, fewer drives to collapse defenses, and a heavier burden placed on Plum to initiate plays. Now Plum is a phenomenal scorer, but asking her to carry extended playmaking duties isn't just taxing, it's dangerous over the course of a series. It changes the identity of the Aces' offense, makes them more predictable, and gives Indiana's defense opportunities to pound. Playoff games are often decided by the smallest details, and a half step slower, Gray might be the crack in the armor that Indiana can exploit. But here's the cruel twist. Gray is as tough as they come. She's proven she can play through pain. The real question isn't whether she suits up. It's how long she can mask the limp, how many possessions she can dictate, before her body betrays her. For the Aces, Chelsea Gray's health is the difference between a well-oiled machine and a sputtering offense vulnerable to collapse. Next up on the Aces injury sheet is Jackie Young, and make no mistake, this isn't some minor footnote. Listed with a knee contusion suffered in practice, Young's condition could become one of the most pivotal subplots of this semifinal series. At first glance, the team brushed it off as a minor knock, but in playoff basketball, there is no such thing as a minor injury. Every bruise, every tweak, every hesitation can cascade into major consequences. Here's why Young's health matters so much. She's the Aces' most versatile perimeter defender. She guards point guards, wings, and even power forwards when switches demand it. Against a team like Indiana, with Caitlin Clark constantly creating mismatches and shooters waiting to be freed, Young is indispensable. If her knee limits her lateral quickness, Clark will exploit it. If she can't stay glued to her assignment, Indiana's shooters could suddenly find themselves with the clean looks they've been desperate for all season. And it doesn't stop there. A compromised Young doesn't just weaken individual defense, it disrupts the Aces' entire defensive scheme. Fewer successful switches mean more scrambling rotations, more open shooters, and ultimately more points for the Fever. That's how a knee bruise can snowball into a scoreboard problem.